Hello, hello, everybody. Welcome to Be Well Rebellion podcast, episode 7. Maybe it could be 6. I don't know. Anyway, I'm Lindsay, and I hope you're all doing well today. Today, I just wanted to talk about AI. It's something that is on a lot of people's minds right now because we are all interfacing with it. And so, I always like to bring a little twist of what is wisdom. Sorry about the airplane flying overhead. That must be from the Air Force Base nearby. But anyway, I just wanted to talk a little bit about AI, right? And what is wisdom as applied to our use of AI? One time, a long time ago, I was listening to the Joe Rogan podcast back when it first came out. And there was a woman on there named Katie Bowman, and she was a biomechanist. And she was talking about how things in our lives become crutches for us that eventually lead to our dysfunction through the atrophy of some normal healthy body systems that we actually need to stay working right. Like if we have a lot of furniture in our home, it becomes a crutch, and then we end up our muscles end up atrophying, and our joints are in pain because we're really supposed to be moving a lot. And she was also talking about, I remember she did something called Vary Your Carry, which I was a new mom, I think, when I heard this podcast a long time ago, or maybe I wasn't even yet. No, I wasn't even yet. It was a long time ago, I think. But anyway, she was talking about how when she carries her babies, she doesn't always just put them in a sling. She carries them in a variety of ways, sometimes on the hip, sometimes on the shoulders, sometimes, on the other side, sometimes on her back, just so that she can keep her body shifting and moving. Like when she's on the computer, instead of just sitting at the computer, she'll put it on the floor so that she's constantly kind of changing her position so that her body stays moving, so that she doesn't really end up with any kind of stagnancy, and nothing becomes a crutch for her, right? So that was really interesting to me. And I started, ever since then, I have been viewing the world through what is empowering me, and I call it what's building my equity, and what is disempowering me and leading to an atrophy on some level. So that's actually the way that I approach AI, right? I have used, I was born in 86. And so I have used the internet, as a young one. And then I've used it more as I got older. I still had to look up things like the library. We still had to use the card catalog and all that stuff when we were younger. But research has become so much easier now in some ways in terms of accessibility. But in terms of discernment, it's funny how the collective has had to level up in discernment. Before, we could only read, the books that were available, or we would rely on oral tradition to come to a conclusion of things. Because, nothing really is, I went to a Montessori school growing up, right? So, I was raised to question everything that I'm reading. So, we need to think critically, right? But in the past, you could only get whatever books or insight from your elders that were available to you, and then you kind of had to deduce what you thought you knew. Now here, information is so readily available, but it's all, of course, not all true information. So you have to have the utmost discernment, and the consumption and digestion process of learning has really shifted with the introduction of some widespread AI tools. So, that's something to consider. It has really enhanced, for the people that are aware of that, it has really enhanced their experience. They can use the AI to hone their learning and actually increase their brain matter, And then there are people who are using AI to outsource their brain matter. And of course, just like the biomechanist Katie Bowman said, that will eventually lead to atrophy. So now you've got a whole population of people that are, let's be honest, we are one hell of a collective. I mean, I really like to keep faith, so I don't want to sound like a misanthrope or a pessimist when I say this, but like, human stupidity has become so widespread and rampant that it's a real danger. It's like a real threat now. Stupidity is. And you can say it's a willful ignorance. It really is, because you do have to put a lot of energy and effort into learning the truth. But also, I don't know. Sometimes it just feels like there really is a collective that's going to go down with their own stupidity. And I hope it's not you. And I hope it's not me. So that's why we need to repent. But anyway, back to AI. So we can use it to increase our brain matter, right? Or we can use it to atrophy ourselves. I'm somebody who always has to write things down. Like if I want to remember something, or if I want it to feel like an organic expression to me, I like to write with a pen or pencil and paper. And then it also like seems to solidify in my mind way better. But if I'm typing something, you know, like it's really no guarantee that I'm going to remember it as well. And like if I'm not I have to really fully focus and be present if I'm reading something in a digital form to make sure that I'm going to absorb it right. And maybe that's just my learning style, but it's also, I think there are studies that confirm. I remember when I was a new mother, I came across a study that said that babies and children learn exponentially more through interaction with a human being than through a screen. And I kind of think, you know, the same thing. So we can use this AI to enhance our lives, or we can use it to escape our lives. We can use it to enhance our learning, or we can use it to outsource our thinking, right? And the choice is yours. I know for a period of time, people will be able to reap some serious financial benefits from using AI, but like other than that, once it kind of the it's all leveled out and accessible to everybody, you're really going to be left with a demographic who is leveling up and who isn't, and who is choosing not to. Now think about that movie like Idiocracy. Like what if everything was automated and available to us that were chore-like jobs? There would still be a demographic that like yearns for life and getting their hands dirty. There would still exist a demographic that would show up for life in that way without the demand for it. I know that, but I think it would be small. There would be also like a huge demographic of people that would just then indulge in their vices or their guilty pleasures if it's a virtual reality and not actual reality. But even if you're not hurting other people, like your brain still doesn't know the difference between like virtual reality and real reality. So, you know, if you're doing those dirty deeds, but it's just all virtual and there's no victims, like you're the victim. Just so you know. Anyway. So AI, right. Now, in addition to the concept of being the victim, there's also the concept of like being the product. So if something's being pushed on you a lot, like what do you think is the product there? What's the end goal there? What do the people who are pushing it on to you want from you? Like, why can you get paid for playing online games right now? You know, that kind of stuff. Like, what are you giving them? And the crazy thing is that what you're giving them is like your biometrics. you're giving them your auric field. Um, like it's a feedback loop. So they're taking information from your biology when you interface with these devices. And then they're also like the device itself is affecting you through its electromagnetic field, or perhaps that electromagnetic field is being manipulated by like a third party, and that also has access now to like your biofield. Like these, the thing is, I think we all have to kind of come to terms, just like we've come to terms with our own trauma, and we realize that some of us are not safe for each other. We also have to recognize that some of us, just like ones who avoid accountability and don't want to deal with their own traumas, they often also will outsource their humanness to things like artificial humanness, and those too are people that may present unsafe because of a lack of awareness or a lack of like accountability for their own bodies. I'm kind of rambling here, so I don't know. Do with this what you will, but like if you are wearing a wearable device, if you are constantly on like your phones tethered to a screen, if you're always in the vicinity of a Wi-Fi signal, like there is potential that you are not in full control of yourself emotionally, mentally, whatever, even in your dream state. Like there's a potential that you're being hijacked. Your biofield, like your auric field, it's a vibrational state according to like your emotional state, your spiritual state, your physical state. So if you're allowing other things into your body and like onto your body that vibrate in a certain way, or even just having close proximity, it allows access. And then those things, like it, just the same way that your doctor can monitor your heart with one of those heart monitors that you wear at home, those wireless heart monitors, you can also be accessed. But the thing is, like, you can be accessed by not your doctor, but that's a field that's like unregulated, and your body is like on the table for access. And I'm not really an expert on this, although, see, this has all been a confirmation. You know, I spent many years as like a prepper conspiracy theorist type, and I always saw things as a child that like I had to make sense of later. So I got trained in shamanism, and so I would take these shamanic journeys and I would see these things, and be presented with these ideas that were really jarring for me. And so I had to research them, you know, because like the Bible says it's a matter of kings to seek knowledge about these things that perplexed me, or that I was wondering if they were products of my imagination. Because I don't really like watch a ton of movies, and some of the things that I would describe, like other people would say, oh, that's just like this movie or that movie. And like I'd never seen the movie. So obviously I was tapping into something. But I had to kind of vet these visions to see if I was just like a lunatic picking up on something that really wasn't mine that I could put down. But then, you know, all these things happened, and I came across this woman named Sabrina Wallace, and she makes these videos where she will describe the mechanisms that are used to access your body and all your body systems, not just like your mind we think of like trauma-based mind control from like screens and stuff, and like, yeah, they're showing us some crazy stuff, especially kids from the 90s. Like, our entertainment definitely had some trauma-based mind control, but those devices themselves are also like infiltrating the vessel, not just like what's presented to the mind or through the vision, but like also like the body systems themselves. So like, it is possible for people to access your body and any part of your body through these digital new technological advances. And they're really not that new. They're really not new, really, when it comes to like human history. They're really not new. But it's a disclosure right now for a certain reason. I mean, we're at the end of the age of Aquarius. We're in the beginning of the age of Aquarius, at the end of the Piscean age. We're at the end of the Kali Yuga, which is the ugly one, right? Or the destroyer one. And we're at the beginning of the Satya Yuga, which is the golden age. And so I'm assuming too that like a lot of things are coming out right now, and if you look into like the prophecies of the blue Kachina and the red Kachina, it's like things are unveiled to you, and then you decide if you're gonna go down with your delusions or not, right? So now's the time to humble yourself. I mean, we saw it all, as I think the last 5 years in particular, 6 years, we have seen so much disclosure of so many things that are just, they're not even, don't fall for that Hegelian dialect of, if it's not this, it's that, or if this is the problem, this is obviously the solution. Like, that comes in steps and waves. And the path of wisdom is so nuanced that what seemed right, at point A could never be applied at point C. So anyway, but when it comes to AI, I'm like rambling. I know I'm rambling a little bit. I try to squeeze these videos in when my children go with my mom random places. So bear with me. Let's keep it an informal discussion, right? You share with me. But anyway, when I think about AI and how it can be used to hijack your body system, hijack your emotional state, and Sabrina Wallace tells you, she'll tell you the mechanisms of it, and she'll also describe this way to help combat it through piloerection, which is giving yourself goosebumps. And it's so funny that she said that, because I used to play this game when I was younger called the Goosebumps game, and I just would give myself goosebumps, right? But for me, it was like starting with a breath, and the the mechanism where it's like something's spinning around so much that then it hits a point where the velocity is too much for like the amount of centrifugal force or whatever, and then it starts to boo, like pew, pew. That's how it is for me when I do that piloerection my whole life. I would imagine it like pew, like kind of like this energy starting. When I was little, I thought it started in my gut right here. But really, after listening to Sabrina's video, she was saying she starts it in her heart. And obviously that's where it starts. I mean, mine was like right just below my heart. So it probably was really coming from my heart, because it's an electromagnetic field that you're taking control back over. So it's your biofield. So then you get this energy going, and then you make the energy kind of burst out, and then it gives you goosebumps. And apparently that's really good for your immune system. I had no idea. And it's also a way to kind of protect your biofield from all the onslaught of these EMFs everywhere, from everything that were really, unnatural to our body's biologics. So anyway, so the AI, right? So point is, it brought me to the idea that obviously some people are going to be able to combat this and some are not. It depends on the health of your body, the health of your spirit, the health of your emotional state, right? Your body system, your nervous system. That is something that you can be control of. It can also be subject to a whole bunch of attacks, and then that can result in a wide array of erratic behavior on a cellular or an emotional level or whatever, physical level. It can cause a whole bunch of weird things. So the point of it is that there is a way to control it, and then there is a potential to lose control. And so I'm looking into it. Like I would say, so what are things that we could do to control our body's biosystems and maintain that sovereignty? I would say like cleansing, obviously. You don't want a ton of mucus production, because if you have a ton of mucus production and heavy metals in your body, then you're obviously creating a potentially acidic environment that is also potentially food for parasites. And then those parasites vibrate a certain way, and it all matters. It isn't all just one thing, but it all does matter. So anyway, how can we maintain control, right? Cleansing, meditation and prayer, doing what you call your shadow work, so that you know what are your beliefs and what might be a program you're running, because people are all like people inside, right? But then we add these layers of programs and we identify with these programs, and sometimes they're not ours. Sometimes we adopted them out of trauma. Sometimes we adopted them because they were incepted into our brains from like AI tech, which sounds ridiculous, I know, but like look into it. Vet everything I say. In fact, from the beginning of my first video to here to any future videos you ever see of mine, vet everything I say, because one, I think and read a lot, and two, sometimes I get confused and I love correction, and three, I cannot bring a receipt for some of these things that just pop into my brain that then I like to throw out there for confirmation or rebuttal. I don't identify with the things that I say, except for here and now. I'm willing to stand corrected, but look into it. So, parasites, so there's all these ways. Grounding, you'll want to ground your body to the earth. The sun frequency is changing, the earth's frequency is changing. If you want your body to assimilate, you got to get your feet on the ground and your face in the sun. Every single cell in your body can has like receptors for the sun. Even the ones that are not like on the outside of your skin and exposed. So like you need to get your feet on the earth and your face in the sun so that you can assimilate with this environment and let that dictate your energetic biofield, rather than like the Wi-Fi and all that shit. So what this brings me to next is like, it made me think of biblical prophecies. I like Psalm 91. Everybody likes Psalm 91, right? It feels really nice to read. It makes you feel like you've got a way out. I'm actually going to read Psalm 91 to you real quick, okay? And then I just want to talk about it from an AI perspective. He who dwells in the secret place of the Most High, who abides under the shadow of the Almighty, he is saying of, well, whatever version you read, saying of God. My refuge, my stronghold, my Elohim, in whom I trust, for he delivers you from the snare of a trapper, from the destructive pestilence. He covers you with his pinion, and under his wings you take refuge. His truth is a shield and armor. You are not afraid of the dread by night, of the arrow that flies by day, of the pestilence that walks in darkness, of destruction that ravages at midday. 1,000 fall at your side and 10,000 at your right side, but it does not come near you. Only with your eyes you look on and see the reward of the wrong ones, because you have made Yahweh, my refuge, the Most High, your dwelling place. No evil befalls you, and a plague does not come near your tent, for he commands his messengers concerning you to guard in all your ways. They bear you up in their hands, lest you dash your foot against a stone. You tread upon lion and cobra, young lion and serpent you trample underfoot. Because he cleaves to me in love, therefore I deliver him. I set him on high, because he has known my name. When he calls me, I answer him. I am with him in distress. I deliver him and esteem him with long life. I satisfy him and show him my deliverance. So the gist of that is you obey certain laws, When you obey certain laws, you are effectually hidden in the shadow of the Almighty from all the crazy shit happening around you. And you look on with your eyes only, and it's not reality for you. Doesn't it sound like everybody else got sucked into some kind of AI virtual reality and you didn't? You know, doesn't it kind of like read like you kept your body intact through the laws of the Most High, so because of that, you didn't get infiltrated? I'm pretty sure it says in there several times about, when evil puts itself in the temple, right? Like, it's talking about an infiltration of the mind, the body, the bloodline. So I don't know. And honestly, if you think about, I've talked in other videos about the inverted masculine energy. So to me, the inverted masculine energy as applied to like, let's take the inverted masculine energy and apply it to the concept of medical care. Everybody then is just running a program. There is no room for wisdom and the nuance of environment or whatever. It's just, this is your symptom, this is your pathology, this is the answer for treatment. And no, it didn't work with the precision that wisdom warranted. Then you die and you are a number. You know what I mean? And if AI were to be the one to apply that would really, really solidify that rogue masculine energy of overriding the natural body systems, wouldn't it? Because AI doesn't look at you like a whole human being. AI just looks at you like a number and a program and, does the math, does the formula. I think that like AI would be awesome to use for certain things, especially because mothers are so overwhelmed these days. But honestly, even dishwashing, even the laundry, all those Sisyphean tasks that we mothers do, like, yeah, it kind of sucks, but also it really gives a lot of room for a lot of meditation and learning. And if you were to do it in like kind of a communal type of setting, camaraderie, I don't know, like I'm not sure how to apply AI in a demographic so that people don't get carried away with it. I think it's really just depends on the population instead. Maybe the population needs to employ a little more wisdom when they apply these things in their lives. It's just like driving your car with with like AI generated like steering wheel and stuff. Like some people are gonna die to that because there is life happening that's not in the program of the car. So like, it might hit things that weren't programmed into the program. So then they have to revisit the program and include another threat. You know what I'm saying? I'm not sure AI could ever replace humans. I don't think it could ever replace the wisdom of humans, but people will certainly try to do that. And when they do, they're going to have to learn the reasons, the lessons, why. And that's going to be like potentially really ugly. I kind of hope I don't see it go down like that. Like, I don't want to see the robots turn on everybody. I actually I one time had this shamanic journey too, where there were clones, and at the end of the world, everybody had to fight their own clone for the right to their life. This was like, I don't know. I had this vision back in like, I want to say 2019. And when I had the vision, it was clones. I was not considering necessarily the digital aspect of it, but I didn't realize, like, obviously that's the mechanism for all this stuff, like this DNA manipulation and all this is their, it goes deep. But anyway, in the vision, I had this vision where we were all hiding our clones at the end of the world, for the right to the existence, right? Because we only got one spot like this. There's only one me. I had to fight my clone for this position. So to be one step ahead of my own clone. And then I kind of started living my life that way, because I was like, if I want to avoid being programmed, then I need to need to, like, surprise myself. I like to keep myself on my toes, because I don't ever want my clone to catch up with me. I'm joking. I'm totally joking. But I did see some really poignant, I've considered some really poignant ideas since having that vision. And then to see the whole thing play out. I mean, there is the concept of the digital twin, where there is something, your online personality is your digital twin, and everything you've ever done online has contributed to the creation of the identity of this digital twin. So maybe we will fight our clones in the end. What I do think is that I believe that you can upgrade your DNA expression through healing and through we'll just reduce it all to just healing, right? I think you can upgrade your DNA through healing, and also through maintaining the symbiosis with the earth and the sun and nature, all in general. So yeah, I don't know. What are your thoughts on all this? Do you even care? Because I feel like a lot of people don't even really care. I feel like a lot of people are like, well, it is what it is, and we're just going on this path, and, I'm only going to be alive for a short glimpse of human history, and so I'm just kind of going with the flow of it all. Which is, makes me think of two Esdras, that section where it says this world is for many, but the next is for very few. That there's so many pitfalls here and, like, traps. And I'm not really of the mindset that anything can come in and trap your soul, or hurt, or, like, destroy you. I think that's just something you do to yourself. So it's a choice. You have to consent. So you gotta close your auric field, like, just like you want to make your body an inhospitable place to parasites, and you want to make your body, a little more alkaline than acidic, so that you are not a hospitable place for, like, cancer to grow. You also want to kind of close your auric field so that you are not food for, like, interdimensional, archons. And so, you got to realize that you can't go to a shaman and have them just close your auric portals. I mean, you can, and you might find that there are things that happen in your life then that you work through to kind of solidify and confirm and integrate those things that they did, that surgery that they did. But you have to open yourself up to it. But, like, so, like, for instance, what I'm getting at is, like, let's say you want to heal something of your inner child, and you go to a shaman, and they don't use any words or anything, but they, like, do the work, right? They do the energy work. If you leave there, if they did an effective job, something will happen in your life where you then revert back to your childlike self in some way, or maybe you're, like, made and given an opportunity to, like, play or whatever, and then that's how you, like, integrate that lesson into it. But, like, you have to be aware of that kind of stuff, So I'm more of the mindset that like you do it for yourself. You do it for yourself. Because there are so many predators that like want access to your biofield right now. Healing is a hot topic right now. Like everybody's wanting to heal. Everybody's kind of getting collectively sick of the bullshit, but we're kind of still honing in on what that bullshit really is. But because healing has become such a trendy thing, I think a lot of predators have infiltrated the healing communities, which I think that everybody has encountered them, like Reiki rapists, like fucking, I don't know. But my point is, stay curious. Stay curious about everything that you're consuming. If it's free or the product, take it a step further, like how do archons actually feed off of your life energy? How do sorrow eaters actually affect the collective egregores? And like, what kind of programs are you running? And what kind of programs are you subjecting yourself to? And what kind of programs are you willingly letting into your energetic field? And if you ever find yourself in a situation where you're like questioning a program and somebody that you're around is, and you're offering a valid question, and all questions are valid, really. Like, I'm a question asker. But if you are asking a question about a program and you're considering like something's weird here, and you're with somebody and they're like shutting it down, they're instantly, vehemently oppositional to whatever it is that you're saying, especially if they try to gaslight you from asking a question, out of asking a question, or they just respond with insults. Like, there are some really valid questions, and we're lied to about a lot of things. So like, ask the questions, have the discussions. And if anybody is ever discouraging you from asking questions, like, they've fallen victim to the program. It's like when the whole COVID thing went down and you'd be asking about like, well, does this virus even exist? And, like, what's in this vaccine or whatever? And you're just asking questions. There was times where it was met with some serious backlash. And those people are pushing some nonsensical programs, and they don't want to be questioned because they are part of the program, they're part of the script, like the Mr. Smith agents in the Matrix. And I kind of hate the thought of that. But we all potentially, like, there are times where we all are potentially Mr. Smith agents if we don't vet our beliefs, right? So vet our programs. So vet your programs, vet the programs of the people that you're around, turn off your Wi-Fi, put your phone down, get it away from your bodies. Go out in nature. Put your feet. I always tell my children, like, I homeschool, so they have accessibility, like, they have access to, kind of like a lot of things. We have a television, and we do have, like, I have a tablet, and I'm realizing that these things they are valuable. They do enhance the homeschool experience in some ways. They definitely have helped me, especially as a single mother, especially with 4 different children with 4 different learning styles. They have helped me. But I tell my children all the time, like, you better be making sure that your biofield is more outside in earth, in nature, than that. And if your day is going in a way that, like, you're spending more time exposing yourself to that type of energetic field rather than the energetic field that your body is meant to be in, then you're doing yourself a disservice over time. Whether it's just the lights, whether it's the vibration of or the frequency of all the stuff that homes are built with, or the not even just their frequency, but the texture, the materials. Like homes are made with carcinogens and that kind of stuff now. Like, we don't need to. You better make sure that you're just being more human than being synthetic, or that's the trajectory you're on. It's a path you're on. It's a narrow path now to be human. Like, it's a super narrow path to stay organically human now. Augmentation comes in many different forms, and usually it's one of those bait and switch type of things where it feels like an augmentation at first, an enhancement of yourself, and then over time it gets used as a way to take away from your experience, your human experience. Sorry, I thought I heard a car outside. My buses broke down in the driveway, so I think somebody's coming by to help me today, hopefully. Otherwise, I'm just hanging out. Okay, so, right. It's a narrow path to stay organically human. The onslaught of inorganic frequencies and materials and just all kinds of fabrics, schedules, behaviors. If you feel like you're hustling through life, at some point your body's gonna be like, stop. But how will you know? How will you know if your body has been hijacked and your body systems have been infiltrated? How would you know? So anyway, in conclusion, it feels like if you want to enjoy what seems like a timeline shift of awareness or energetic sovereignty that is presented in Psalm 91, if you want to enjoy that, I highly suggest you make sure that you don't get tethered to the cloud. I mean, there's even a part in the Bible too that says that men will pray for death and it won't come. That makes me think of AI. And it makes me think of AI too, and Isaiah, where it's talking about in the fourth kingdom, how iron and clay will mix. It feels like, at that point, we're all getting kind of infiltrated. We're all kind of getting subject to the same fuckery. So maybe there is a level of evolution here, that this is a vetting process of souls. I don't know. But keep your soul intact, and if you keep your body filled with your soul and your awareness, and you're not self-sabotaging or dissociating from yourself so much that you're inflamed or you're numb and you can't tell when you've been hijacked or infiltrated, you can navigate accordingly. Anyway, these are just some ideas that I have. Biblical prophecy as applied to the biodigital convergence. If you're not keeping your mind full of what it is to live in wisdom and righteousness and just to be what's good in the world and foster life, then rest assured that something else will take its place. Rest assured that if you're not driving your own bus, something else will gladly come in and take over. And people call it demons, or the demons can manifest in your life in a lot of different ways. It can be habits, it can be exposure to certain things, it could be holes in your field for a variety of reasons. So just always tend to your garden and just keep your body as human as possible. Yeah.